Welcome back to Mindful Objective, the show where we explore health through an integrative and practical lens. I'm your host, Dr. Daniel Sproul, integrative health practitioner and professor. Today, we're diving into a process that quietly controls how your body and brain function every single day. That is methylation. Most people have heard of the MTHFR gene, or better known as the mother gene, or maybe even done diagnosing testing, but very few understand what methylation even does or why it matters for your energy, mood, and detox pathways. So think of methylation like a series of light switches inside your body. Each one turns key functions on and turns them off. From how you process nutrients to how you manage stress to inflammation and even your gut health. When those switches get stuck, symptoms start showing up. Fatigue, brain fog, digestive issues, anxiety, hormone shifts, and that's where we start connecting the dots between your genes, your mind, and your gut. In this episode, we'll explore how enzymes like MTHFR, MTTR, MTR, COMT, COMT, and AHCY work together to keep your methylation cycle running, and what it means when the process actually slows down. We'll also touch on homocysteine, an important marker that tells us how well your body's keeping up with this critical system. And in the next episode, after this one, will be about homocysteine. So as always, this show's for educational purposes only. We do not diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease. Now, let's learn about methylation, how it shapes your energy, mood, and overall health. So, when people do first hear methylation, it sounds overly scientific for a lot of people. But in reality, methylation is one of the most basic ongoing processes that keep you alive and functioning. It's happening billions of times every second in nearly every cell of your body. At its core, methylation is simply the process of adding a small molecule called a methyl group to another compound. That tiny addition is like flipping the biological light switch. When the methylated group attaches, it kind of turns that function on and off. These switches control how your body handles everything from detoxification and inflammation to also energy production, mood balance, and even how your genes express themselves. Think of methylation like maintenance system of your body. When it works smoothly, your energy feels stable, your mind's clear, and your gut feels balanced. When the system slows down, things start to feel off. You might notice fatigue that caffeine just can't fix, restless sleep, sensitivity to stress, or digestive discomfort that seems random. Those are often subtle signs that your methylation pathways are struggling. So what makes this process very important is, for starters, methylation supports your detox system. Every time your liver breaks down toxins, hormones, or old neurotransmitters, methylation helps move the waste products safely out of your body. Without enough methyl groups and proper enzyme function, your body starts recycling what it should be eliminating. That's one reason why you feel sluggish or you have sluggish methylation. It can make people feel heavy, foggy, and just toxic overall. One thing you know is methylation is also central to neurotransmitter balance. It helps your brain make and clear dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, the chemicals that affect motivation, focus, mood, and calmness. When methylation slows down, people may feel anxious, low in mood, and find stress hits them even harder. On the other hand, when methylation speeds up too much, it can cause restlessness or trouble winding down at night. Another key area is energy production. Methylation helps recycle nutrients like folate and B12 into those active forms. Those nutrients feed your mitochondria, the tiny engines inside the cells that make ATP, your body's energy currency. If methylation is sluggish, your mitochondria struggle to produce energy efficiently, leaving you tired even when you're sleeping enough. And then there's DNA repair. Every day, your cells experience damage from environmental toxins, processed foods, and stress. Methylations help repair that DNA and keep your genes functioning properly. Without it, your body starts showing early signs of aging or chronic inflammation. So you might be wondering, what slows methylation down? So there's several factors. Genetics, for one. Certain gene variants like MTHFR, COMT, and AHCY can make it hard for your body to recycle or use B vitamins efficiently. But lifestyle plays a big role too. Poor nutrition, alcohol, chronic stress, gut inflammation, or lack of sleep can all drain that supply of methyl donors, which are nutrients like folate, B12, B6, choline, and betaine. The good news is that methylation is flexible. Your genes set the blueprint, but your lifestyle determines how well the system performs. Eating a nutrient-rich diet, managing stress, and supporting your gut health can dramatically improve methylation efficiency, even if you have certain genetic variants. Like I do, of course. I'm double dominant variant. Of course, it happens to me. So in short, methylation is your body's master regulator. It controls how well you make energy, clear toxins, balance your mood, and even how you feel each morning when you wake up. When it's balanced, everything starts to work better. So next, let's talk about this cycle of MTHFR and MTRR. So let's start with what everybody heard of, MTHFR. That's that mother gene. You're probably seen on social media or in genetic reports, often surrounded by confusion and fear. But here's the truth. MTHFR is not a disease. It's a simple enzyme. Its job is to convert folate, the B vitamin found in leafy green vegetables, beans, and supplements, and it converts it into that active form called methylfolate. So think of folate like raw ingredients in your kitchen. MTHFR is the chef who prepares them so your body can actually use them. Without that conversion step, your body can't effectively perform methylation. That's why someone with genetic variant MTHFR, it doesn't mean something that's broken. It means that the chef works a bit slower. So this matters because methylfolate plays a key role in producing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. When methylfolate levels drop, people often notice brain fog, mood changes, and those energy dips. It also affects how your gut feels, since serotonin, often called the happy chemical, made primarily in a digestive tract. So sluggish MTHFR enzyme can influence both mental health and gut health. But there's another piece that works hand in hand with MTHFR, and that's MTTR enzyme. So if MTHFR is the chef preparing methylfolate, MTTR is like the kitchen assistant making sure that the cooking tools stay sharp. MTTR helps recycle vitamin B12 into its active form, methylcobalamin. Together, methylfolate from MTHFR and methylcobalamin from MTTR convert homocysteine. That cycle is vital for keeping homocysteine in check. When MTHFR or MTTR aren't working efficiently, homocysteine levels can rise, leading to inflammation, vascular issues, and fatigue, even migraines, high blood pressure. But just as important, this slows down everything from methyl groups are available in your body to use, right? It slows down a lot. So everything from detoxification to energy creation to making things work slower, at half speed. This is where that upper gut comes in. Both folate and B12 rely heavily on healthy digestive system for that absorption. Folate is absorbed in the small intestine, while B12 requires a special protein from the stomach called intrinsic factor. If the digestion is weak, if you have low stomach acid, or if you've been on acid blockers for a long time, your absorption of these vitamins can drop significantly. That means even if your genes are working fine, your gut might still be preventing proper methylation. This connection is often missed. People may chase supplements without addressing the digestive side. Supporting gut health ensures that the MTHFR and MTTR enzymes actually have the raw materials they need. Another point we got to make here is people often overlook the MTHFR variants as they're incredibly common. Roughly 40% of the population has some form of it. That means having it doesn't automatically mean trouble. The key is balance, just like everything we do in integrative health. Balance. You can support your methylation systems through whole foods, especially leafy greens, liver, eggs, beets, lentils, and choose active form of B vitamins like methylfolate, methylcobalamin, rather than synthetic folic acid or cyanocobalamin. For many people, simple lifestyle shifts make that big difference. Eating nutrient-rich foods, reducing alcohol, and managing stress can lower homocysteine naturally and help your methylation cycle flow smoothly once again. When MTHFR and MTTR are supported properly, your body efficiently recycles nutrients. It'll fuel the brain and detoxifies more efficiently. You'll feel mentally sharper, emotionally steadier, and physically lighter because your system is finally running with a full supply of those methyl groups. So now let's talk about how you tie things into your lower gut and that mind connection. And that's where we're going to go and talk about the MTR and the AHCY. This is the lower gut and mind connection. Now that we did talk about MTHFR, we did talk about MTRR, which is the upper gut enzymes that kickstart methylation through folate and B12, we're going to move downstream to MTR and AHCY. These two are just as important as the MTHFR and MTTR because they determine how well your entire methylation cycle keeps moving. So think of MTR and the AHCY as the recycling crew of your methylation system. They make sure your materials get reused instead of piling up as waste. When this part of the process slows down, homocysteine also starts to build up, inflammation increases, and your body cleanup system struggles to keep up. So we'll start with MTR. This enzyme helps convert homocysteine back to methionine using active forms of folate, right? Methylfolate and B12 methylcobalamin. Methionine then gets turned into something called COMT, which is one of the most important methyl donors in your entire body. acts like a main energy source of methylation. It gives out that methyl groups to hundreds of different reactions: DNA repair, neurotransmitter balance, hormone metabolism, detoxification. If MTR isn't working properly, you don't get enough SAMe. That's when fatigue, mood swings, or even issues with the liver detox and hormone clearance start showing up. Here's how that lower connection comes in. MTR depends on your body's ability to recycle and absorb B12 efficiently, and your gut plays a huge role in that. If your microbiome is off balance, if you're dealing with chronic inflammation or leaky gut, that absorption can drop. The lower gut is responsible for producing short-chain fatty acids that nourish the intestinal lining and help regulate methylation indirectly by lowering inflammation. In other words, if your gut lining is inflamed or your microbiome is struggling, your methylation cycle will be the price. Next, let's talk about that AHCY. This enzyme breaks down into SAH. It's a byproduct that forms after methylation happens. SA is the exhaust for the engine. If it builds up, it starts clogging that system. AHCY helps clear out so methylations can start running efficiently once again. When AHCY slows down, it starts to accumulate and blocks methylations from continuing. That's one reason some people feel stuck, mentally or physically, even when they're eating well and taking the right supplements. The issue isn't always low nutrients. Sometimes it's the body can't recycle fast enough because that AHCH is backed up. And here's where the side connection comes in. When MTR and AHCY are balanced, neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin are produced and cleared properly. That balance helps you feel calm, focused, and emotionally stable. But when the enzymes lag, neurotransmitters can linger too long or fail to activate properly, leading to mood instability, anxiety, or even that brain fog. Once again, it's a two-way street. Gut health affects methylation, and methylation affects your gut. If the gut is inflamed, methylation slows down. If the methylation slows down, detox pathways weaken, and inflammation will increase. That's why it's important to look at both together, not a separate system. The beautiful thing about methylation is that it's responsive. When you give your body what it needs, real food, good sleep, active form of B vitamins, and stress support, it begins to self-correct, right? That balance. The enzymes wake up, energy returns, the mind clears, and the gut calms down. MTR and AHCY are like quiet workers keeping the system running smooth behind the scenes. When they're supported, methylation flows like a healthy river, cleansing, balancing, and restoring. Next, what we need to touch on is COMT. This is the enzyme that plays a massive role in the brain, managing dopamine, adrenaline, estrogen metabolism. You'll see how unique COMT type is explaining everything. So again, if the earlier enzymes like NAHCY are the body's behind-the-scene workers, COMT is the manager in the control room of your brain. COMT, its job is to process and clear certain brain chemicals, mainly dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, and it helps your body metabolize estrogen properly. In simple terms, COMT helps you shift gears mentally and emotionally. So picture your brain like a car. Dopamine is the accelerator that keeps you focused, motivated, and alert. COMT is the brake that slows that stimulation down and when it's time to relax. If COMT works efficiently, you can handle stress, you can stay calm under pressure, and still focus on what's needed. If COMT is sluggish, your engine revs up too high. Your thoughts race, your stress feels heavier, and you might struggle to unwind. There are two main COMT patterns here, fast and slow. People with fast COMT burn through dopamine and adrenaline quickly. They tend to have, different feel of low motivation or mental fatigue when methylation support is low. These are the calm people, the steady types who rarely feel anxious but might need more stimulation to get moving. Those with slow COMT process is reverse, right? If they're slow to process the dopamine and adrenaline, they're often high achievers. They're focused, detail-oriented, and sensitive to stress. Because their brain chemistry lingers longer, caffeine, loud environments, or emotional tension can feel overwhelming. Then they also tend to stay in the go mode, which can lead to burnout if they don't intentionally recover. COMT influences extend beyond mood and focus. It's also deeply tied to estrogen metabolism. The same enzyme that clears dopamine also clears your liver processes of estrogen into safer forms. If COMT runs slow and methylation is sluggish, estrogen can build up in the body, contributing to irritability, breast tenderness, mood swings for male and females. That's one reason women with variants often notice their mood changes more around their cycle. And here's where methylation links back. COMT needs methyl groups from SAMe, which comes from the earlier part of the methylation cycle. If the MTHFR, MTR, or the AHCY are underperforming, it doesn't get the resources it needs to do its job. The results can be mental overload, anxious thoughts, or even hormone imbalances. The mind-gut connection appears here too. When you're under stress and COMT can't clear stress hormones efficiently, your body stays in that fight or flight mode. That constant state tightens all your gut muscles, slow digestion, and can trigger bloating and discomfort. Over time, it can alter your microbiome, creating a feedback loop that further stresses your system. So supporting COMT doesn't mean taking a handful of supplements, it's about balance. Eating foods rich in natural methyl donors, what are those? Leafy greens, beets, eggs, fish. You also want to support your liver detox through cruciferous vegetables, garlic and adequate hydration. Cruciferous, broccoli, that's a good one. You want to also manage stress through deep breathing, light exercise, and time outdoors. When it's nice out, get out. Prioritize sleep, since nighttime is when your brain clears excess neurotransmitters. If you know you're a slow COMT type, you might do better with lower doses of methylated supplements or more focus on calming practices. If you're a fast COMT, you might benefit from consistent B vitamin intake and steady protein to keep dopamine levels balanced throughout the day. When COMT is balanced, the brain feels centered, focus comes more easily, emotions flow naturally without overwhelming you. You can push through challenges and still relax afterward, something that many people lose when methylation goes off track. So far, we have connected the upper gut, lower gut, and mind, right? Each enzyme, MTHFR, MTTR, MTR, AHCY, and COMT, as they play its role in that symphony of methylation. But one instrument that falls out of tune, the whole piece goes off the rail. So in this final segment here, we're going to talk and how we piece it all together. So now let's unpack each enzyme. Let's step back and see how it all fits together. This way you know exactly step by step what we need to do. So think of methylation as that circular highway. Nutrients enter, enzymes do their work, and each turn the cycle helps recycle and create something essential, right? What are those essential things? Energy, neurotransmitters, hormones, and that detox support. When everything flows, you feel clear, balanced, and steady. But when one exit is blocked, say MTHFR, say that's sluggish, or COMT is overloaded, traffic starts to back up. The system slows and your body starts sending signals: fatigue, irritability, anxiety, brain fog, digestive issues, and poor stress tolerance. So here's how the chain works in plain terms. MTHFR activates folate. MTTR keeps B12 ready to use. MTR turns homocysteine back to methionine. AHCY clears out waste products. COMT uses those methyl groups to balance your brain and your hormones. So remember, each one of these depend on the other, and all of them depend on your nutrient intake, gut health, and your stress levels. This is why supporting methylation isn't about one supplement. It's about creating an internal environment where your enzymes do their jobs efficiently on their own. A great example of this is how it feels in real life is people have been saying, I've been taking B12 and folate for months, but I still feel tired. In those cases, the problem isn't always deficiency, it's flow, right? Maybe B12 isn't being absorbed well when they might have low stomach acid. Maybe inflammation in the gut is interfering with methylation, or maybe the COMT enzyme is overwhelmed and can't use those methyl groups fast enough. When one line breaks, the rest of the chain weakens. This is also where homocysteine becomes very important. Homocysteine is like the dashboard warning lights of your methylation system. When it's balanced, typically you want your levels between 6 and 8. Your methylation cycle is running very smoothly. But when it's high, it signals the methylation isn't recycling properly. It can mean your MTHFR or MTR are struggling, or you're in low active B vitamins, or the stress and inflammation are blocking your nutrient use of those vitamins. High homocysteine can also be linked to cardiovascular risk, brain aging, and chronic inflammation. But here's the good news, it's fixable. By addressing methylation support, gut health, and stress, you can bring those numbers back into the range and feel that difference. That's why I often recommend including homocysteine in your regular blood work. It's simple and inexpensive, and it's incredibly revealing. So now, how do we support your methylation system naturally? Well, here's a few key strategies. Again, eat a balanced, nutrient-rich diet. Include folate-rich foods like leafy greens, asparagus, lentils, beets. Get natural B12 from fish, eggs, and grass-fed meats. Next, you want to prioritize your gut health. You should be doing this anyway. Digestive inflammation and poor absorption can block methylation faster than any gene variant. Support your microbiome with fiber, fermented foods, and proper hydration. Another thing that kills a lot of people is stress, right? Manage your stress. Chronic stress burns through methyl groups and overloads COMT. Just remember, too, is mindfulness, deep breathing, and if your sleep is not optimal, they're your methylation support tools. You have to correct those things. Another thing is avoid excess toxins. Alcohol, smoke, and processed chemicals all burn detox pathways. Every little reduction helps our enzymes focus on recovery and repair. Then you want to use targeted supplements if they're needed, right? Some people benefit from active forms of methylfolate, right? B12, methylcobalamin, B6, P5P, but start low and go slow. More isn't always better, especially if COMT runs slow. Now, on the mindful objective side, functional lab testing can also guide that process. Methylation panel, organic acid tests, or simple homocysteine blood tests can show exactly where your system needs that support. From there, a personalized protocol can bring everything back into balance, helping you feel clearer, calmer, and more energetic. The beauty of methylation is that it connects to every part of your health. Mind, gut, hormones, detox, energy. It's one elegant cycle. When you nourish it, you're not only improving one area, you're improving everything downstream. So next time you hear someone talk about MTHFR or methylation, remember this. It's not just a gene or a lab result. It's a living, breathing system that responds to how well you eat, think, sleep, and care that you do for your body. And when it's supported well, your body works like it's designed to, balanced, focused, and full of vitality. As we conclude this episode, be sure to stay tuned for episode 57, where we're going to take a deeper dive on homocysteine itself, what your numbers mean, and why it's one of the most overlooked markers in conventional care, and how optimizing it can change your energy and long-term health. So if you want to learn more about the methylation cycle or see how your MTHFR, your COMT, or related genes might be influencing your health, visit mindfulobjective.com to explore functional lab testing and personalized protocols. As always, this information shared here is for educational purposes only and should never be taken as medical advice. Always consult with your qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your health plan. Till next time, stay mindful, stay healthy, and remember, your health isn't just written in your genes. It's shaped on how well you support them every day. Stay well.